What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool transfer news video, and today's video will be about Khephren Thuram and the latest reports on how Liverpool are speeding up the talks between Nice and Liverpool, so make sure to stay tuned and strap in. I'm absolutely buzzing still about Liverpool signing my fellow countryman from Hungary, Dominik Szoboszlai. I had to buy Hungary's biggest sports newspaper, and of course it's Szoboszlai on the front page with a full article, and I will read that later, and I will cherish this memory for years to come. The biggest footballer of the last 40 years in Hungary joining my favorite club is an absolute dream come true for me. And thank you so much if you are a new subscriber. We just recently hit 137,000 subscribers, so if you want to celebrate with me and make my day even better, leave a like. Let's get this video to 500 likes again. And yesterday I had the biggest day for 2 years on my YouTube channel, so keep the hype going. And Rudy Galletti is reporting that Liverpool are speeding up talks for Khephren Thuram. Liverpool want to close the gap in negotiations with Nice soon to anticipate the competition of Newcastle. Newcastle just today announced that they signed Sandro Tonali for a similar transfer fee to what we signed Dominik Szoboszlai for. That these negotiations are starting to move concretely for the French player. It's an evolving situation, so Liverpool are keeping other irons in the fire. Romero Lavia of Southampton are of interest to Liverpool. I will probably make a detailed video on those reports tomorrow, so check back tomorrow on my channel and check back every day if you want to hear the latest news about Liverpool FC and what kind of transfers we are planning to make. And Rudy Galletti is a pretty reliable journalist who already at the end of June said that talks between Nice and Liverpool are progressing for Khephren Thuram. And by the way, there is absolutely no hurdle now for Liverpool to do these talks, because France, a big surprise, got knocked out from the Euro Under-21 Championship. They were heavy favorites to win the whole tournament, but they lost to Ukraine 3-1. Ukraine were big underdogs against France, but France lost after Ukraine took all 3 of their shots on target they scored from, and they lost 3-1. Ukraine won 3-1, France lost 3-1. Khephren Thuram played like 70 minutes, and France dominated possession, but they couldn't break through the Ukraine defense many times, and they got done on the counter-attack. And the Liverpool and Nice are working to reach an agreement of around 40 to 45 million euros, which is around 35 to 40 million pounds. My only problem is Liverpool already have a number 8 in the Alexis McAllister, a box-to-box midfielder, and we have another number 8 who is actually literally a number 8, Dominik Szoboszlai. So do we need a third number 8, a third box-to-box midfielder in our ranks? For this reason only, I would prefer if Liverpool signed Romero Lavia, even though I rate Khephren Thuram higher because he's 2 years older, and also because he's a little bit further in his football education, in his development. I think still Liverpool need an out-and-out defensive midfielder, because we don't know what kind of season Fabinho will have. We should rest sometimes Fabinho for the likes of Lavia or Bajcetic or Henderson or whoever can play defensive midfield. And Liverpool are moving fast to try to sign another midfielder, because we want to get as many players in as possible before pre-season starts. And pre-season will kick off in like 5 or 6 days time with training, and our first pre-season game is on June the 18th, I think. July the 18th, sorry, it's already July, what am I talking about? And even if Nice demand around 40 million pounds for Khephren Thuram, I think it would be great value for money. And yes, Khephren Thuram can play as a defensive midfielder, but that's not his best position. His best position is roaming up and down the pitch, box to box. And maybe because we've signed Szoboszlai and McAllister already, maybe we are tending towards a more defensive-minded midfielder. Manu, Kone or Romero Lavia would be maybe more closer to that profile of a player. midfielder. And Liverpool have been in talks with Nice for already about a month for Khephren Thuram, and we also agreed personal terms with the player himself. So now it's a matter of what kind of transfer do Liverpool want to do. I don't think we will sign 2 other midfielders. 4 midfielders would be a little bit overkill. Of course it would be brilliant, but then we also need to sign a left-sided centre-back to deputise for Van Dijk and also sometimes to play in place of Robertson. I want a left-sided centre-back who can play as a left-back. I mean, look at Man City. They are adopting a similar playing style when John Stones drops into midfield in attack sometimes, and otherwise Man City basically play with 4 centre-backs, and one of those centre-backs goes into midfield when Man City are on the attack. Liverpool are doing something similar, and Man City, it worked for them that they are deploying 4 centre-backs in defense who can defend very solidly, but also who can help the attack. Maybe not as much as somebody like Cancelo did or Kyle Walker, but with Akanji and Ake, they have players who can also provide help in Man City's attacks, but also who are defensively solid. So Liverpool definitely need to save money for a left-sided centre-back. I think that should be more of a priority for Liverpool. We need somebody who is younger than Fabinho, more energetic, and of course who has more legs. And as I said, the 2 main players, Manu, Kone and Romeo Lavia, different profiles, but both fill the above mentioned requirements. Khephren Thuram, not so much. And as I said, the left-sided centre-back I think is an even bigger priority for Liverpool. And now that Liverpool have Szoboszlai, McAllister and also Gakpo and Diaz, Jurgen Klopp will revert back to his hardcore, aggressive, full-tilt pressing system. Fabinho probably doesn't have the legs anymore, the energy, the work rate to play in this system for many years. Maybe he was overplayed in the last 2 seasons, but unless Liverpool sign a really good defensive midfielder in Fabinho's place, that will be a problem, because if Fabinho is getting overplayed again next season, then his form will suffer. And also another problem, Trent Alexander-Arnold doesn't have a proper substitute in and out of possession as well, which means that Jurgen Klopp will have to find a more creative solution, and that could be Joe Gomez, who could be a proper backup right back. And defensively he's better than Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joe Gomez, when he's in form, when he's not afraid of the opposition. But if Joe Gomez plays as a right centre back instead of a right back, then somebody needs to fill in for Trent Alexander-Arnold, because Trent can't play all of the games. And yes, he's not really injury prone, but sometimes he gets injured, sometimes he has to get a rest. Who will play in the Europa League, in the League Cup, in the right back position. Another solution could be to play Thiago or Bajcetic or even Henderson next to Fabinho and task one of them to track back and to fill in for the position that Trent vacates when he goes into midfield. But that would mean sacrificing either Szoboszlai or Alexis McAllister in joining the attack. Maybe play Szoboszlai as an out-and-out attacking midfielder, play Fabinho next to Bajcetic or Fabinho next to Thiago or Fabinho next to Henderson, and say to both of them, just stay in front of the defense and shield them in case Trent drops into midfield. But then what happens when Fabinho and Henderson are both in midfield? What happens when Trent also drops into midfield? Maybe leave Trent to go forward and for Henderson to shield the back 4 or back 3 as that is at that time. But also Khephren Thuram could play as a defensive midfielder. He can play in that role because he's only 22 years old. Jurgen Klopp can still mold and develop him and maybe transition him into a more defensive role. He's a solid dribbler with an incredible physical, athletic presence, and he's a dominant presence in the middle of the park. He's huge, 196 centimeters tall, that's 6'4" tall or something like that. He's a powerhouse midfielder, and he will only get better. His physical stature and ability could make him a difficult player to mark in the coming years, and he would add some much needed muscle in the middle of the park for Liverpool. We already have 2 brilliant technical players in McAllister and Szoboszlai, who also have a lot of great attributes, work rate, energy, goal scoring, assisting. I mean, combined they scored more than 20 goals and got more than 20 assists in total. So if they could deliver even close to those numbers, McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai combined, that would solve a lot of issues for Liverpool going forward. But defensively, that's my only worry, that we haven't made any defensive signings. But the window is still very, very early. We can still sign a centre-back, we can still sign a defensive midfielder. And if we'd signed those two other transfers, those two other profile of players, then I will be very, very happy with the transfer window. And I would say if those two players are also very talented, very highly rated young players, then Liverpool absolutely nailed the transfer window. So far, so good. Another factor in Liverpool choosing whether it's Roma or Lavia or Khephren Thuram is Lavia wouldn't take a homegrown. Lavia would be a homegrown player, and Khephren Thuram would take a non-homegrown place in Liverpool's squad. That's what I meant to say. And it makes re-signing Adrian very confusing. Liverpool still have one more spot left. So if Liverpool don't sign two non-homegrown players, then we are fine. But we still need to sign two players, a defensive midfielder and a centre-back who can play maybe left-back as well, or right back as well, unless we sell, of course, any of our players. And that's where I want to talk about Thiago, because Neil Jones said that no offers have been received for Thiago, but Liverpool could soon find themselves with a decision to make over Thiago, with Fenerbahce among some clubs keen on signing the midfielder. Liverpool would be absolutely crazy to sell Thiago. He only has 1 year left on his contract, but Liverpool would get 10, maybe maximum 15 million pounds for Thiago, and that's not a lot compared to what kind of an elite world-class midfielder he is. We just need to manage his workload and game time. If he plays once a week, I think Thiago can stay fit for the majority of the season, and the upside is so much. Thiago could deliver a lot more value to Liverpool than what 10 or 15 million pounds in the transfer market could deliver for Liverpool if we sold him. And then if we sold Thiago, we would need to fill his place with another midfielder. And I think Thiago is absolutely amazing. If Liverpool decide to sell him, they would be absolutely crazy. I mean, still, yes, Thiago is 33 years old. He's injury prone. I get that. He is world class. And on his day, he's honestly the best midfielder, one of the best midfielders in the world, and he can do things no other midfielder can in this Liverpool squad. My argument would be keep Thiago, maybe even extend his contract, but manage his fitness and his minutes more carefully. And now that Liverpool have Szoboszlai and McAllister, two players who are not injury prone, finally, two players who are also young, energetic, really dynamic, and also who are both will be probably available for 90-95% of the season. We can rest Thiago here and there and not give him too many games. That was the problem. Last season Liverpool had a midfield where half of them were constantly injured. So we had to play Thiago every week. Sometimes he had to even play defensive midfield, which is not his best position. Liverpool overplayed him, and then he got injured and broke down. So Liverpool absolutely have to do something about it to not get into a scenario like this. The only other scenario is if Thiago wants to leave, then of course I would say to Liverpool, let him leave, but only for at least 15 million, maybe even 20 million, because Thiago is still a world-class player. And I mean, if Thiago leaves, that means Liverpool will lose 5 midfielders, 4 if you don't count Arthur. That would be too much of a midfield rebuild in one summer, in my opinion. And also, I want to talk about Jordan Henderson and his future in this Liverpool team, because after McAllister and Szoboszlai, it looks like finally Henderson will not be a regular starter in a Liverpool team. And I like Henderson. I think he has been great, a great captain. He has won everything at Liverpool. But his time is the past. And in the future, he should be assuming the James Milner role. He should be a bit part player, a good squad player, but never the first team on the team sheet, never the first name on the team sheet, never the starting midfielder for Liverpool. I still think Liverpool will ease McAllister and Szoboszlai in, so maybe they won't start both of them. at the first game of the season, so Henderson could still play, of course, quite a lot of games, but I don't think there is room for sentiment in this Liverpool team, because last season showed where that leads us. We finished outside of the top 4, which was an absolute disaster. Even though Henderson is the captain, he's the leader, he should be on the bench for the majority of next season. At the start, I can maybe see why Henderson might be starting some games, but we need younger, more energetic, more dynamic, and more technical players. Henderson should get about 30 games a season, and at least half of them as a substitute player, so coming off the bench. Henderson should play sometimes as a cover for Fabinho as a defensive midfielder, sometimes as a box-to-box midfielder. At least after the bedding in period of Szoboszlai and McAllister, I think we have pretty good options for the box-to-box midfield role, and hopefully Henderson will be happy to sit on the bench. Liverpool will probably play around 55 to 60 games during the season, so we still need the likes of Henderson to play a lot of games, but I just want it to be sensible. When Fabinho needs a rest, play Henderson as the defensive midfielder. When maybe Szoboszlai or McAllister are still not fully up to speed, you can play Henderson. But I would rather play Harvey Elliott or Curtis Jones instead of Henderson. I would rather play Bajcetic sometimes instead of Henderson, because those players are still young and they can still get better. Henderson either stays the same for a little bit, but gradually he will get worse. And that's my main argument for this. Let me know what you think about everything that we talked about in this video. And of course, get back to me tomorrow and on my channel to see the latest news about Liverpool FC. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.